We are finally back after that fantastic Worlds. I couldn't wait to get some more Valorant on my screen. Well, the time has finally come as the Red Bull home ground event took place over the weekend in the Big Apple. That's New York City, baby. Throughout the past month, we have been hit with massive roster swaps across all regions of Valorant, and now we were about to see these new teams in action. Big city, big dreams. Kicking off on Friday, we had a ton of games, 11 to be exact. All of the games held on Friday would be a best of one, and only the upper, lower, and grand finals being a best of 3/best of 5. But just because these games were BO1 doesn't mean that there weren't going to be some great plays or some major upsets. Starting in the upper quarterfinals, most games went as expected. You had NRG taking down Qbert Academy in a convincing 13-4 fashion. Fnatic with a nice win over Cloud9, taking them down 13-7. The big news comes from the OT slugfest that was Sentinels versus T1, with one of the new stars from Sentinels, Redux, coming out strong with this chamber, allowing Sentinels to scrap by with a 14-12 victory over T1. Then, out of left field, we had G2 losing their game to Zeta Division. Absol from Zeta went on a massive tear on Yoru, shutting down everything that G2 had planned. On to the lowers, we had our first set of elimination games. Qbert would be taking on T1. The Masters Bangkok winners were not going to allow themselves to get double bounced that easily. T1 was able to send Qbert home in a clean 13-7 victory, allowing them to live on. For the next game, we had the classic Civil War, G2 versus Cloud9. This game would come down to the wire, with G2 finishing the half down 4-8. They would then proceed to lose the pistol round on their attack, dropping them now down to 4-9. G2 though would bounce back, winning 6 straight rounds, taking the lead before C9 was even able to get off another round. All tied up at 10, G2 was able to pull out the remaining rounds, taking down Cloud9 13-11. Back up into the upper semifinals, NRG would be taking on Sentinels. Would the new Sin team be able to stop the reigning world champs? Sadly, they were unable to accomplish that goal, but it was an insanely close game. Sentinels forced a comeback in the second half, but NRG closed it out in the end with a 13-11 victory. Next was the runner-up at Worlds, Fnatic versus Zeta Division in a stunning game. Zeta was able to take down Fnatic 13-1. Zeta were on a tear and had just secured their place in the upper finals against NRG. Back down in the lowers, we have Fnatic taking on T1. Loser goes home. Fnatic would come out the gate swinging with the strong 8-4 lead in the first half. T1 would then fight back by winning the pistol, but it was no good. Fnatic would take the next 5 rounds, ending the series 13-5, sending T1 home. The next match was the American Classic, Sentinels versus G2. In a close first half, it was still anyone's game with G2 up 7-5. G2 would start the second half with 3 straight rounds, and Sentinels would answer back with their own 3 straight rounds. Now sitting at 10-8, Sentinels needed to continue this streak to not go home. G2 was not letting that happen though, closing out the next 3 rounds, ending Sentinels' run at a whopping 13-8. The last game on Friday would be a huge one, as the two giants known as G2 and Fnatic would battle to stay alive, and they would not disappoint, with a back-to-back 8-4 halves resulting in an overtime. Overtime number 1 would be a blow for blow, and G2 at this point was just ready to end it, and they would close out that second OT 15-13. Fnatic would be sent packing, and that would wrap up Friday along with all of the best of one. On Saturday, we had NRG versus Zeta Division in the upper finals. Zeta, who have been on a tear up to this point, were ready to take down the world champs. First map would be Corrode, NRG's playground. The Odin spams would be strong for NRG as they closed the first map out 13-6. Moving on to Zeta's map pick, Haven, NRG would once again start out strong, ending the first half 8-4 on attack. Zeta were unable to continue what they had done yesterday, only getting in 2 rounds in the second half, losing 13-6 in the process. They will be sent down to the lower finals to face G2. G2 were looking to get that revenge on Zeta for taking them down in the quarterfinals. first map would be Sunset. G2 had an answer for everything that Zeta tried, closing out the game in a whopping 13-4 victory. Sunset was G2's map pick, so there was still hope for Zeta. They would choose Split, and Zeta would come out winning the pistol to start the game. But then Zeta would only go on to get 2 more rounds, resulting in a sad 13-3 victory for G2. Zeta Division put up a good fight, and we look forward to seeing them in the upcoming season. The stage was set. The World Champs versus the America's Stage Champs in a best-of-5 grand finals. Map number 1 would be Corrode, the battle of the spams. Who would outspam the other? NRG's attack side was strong, ending the half with an 8-5 lead. G2 would answer right back though by taking 9 rounds on their attack, closing it out 13-10. Trent on his signature Tejo was just too much for NRG. G2 would then pick Split for their second map. This one wasn't even close as Jajamo went doggamo on NRG, dropping 24 kills on Waylay. G2 would close out that map with a 13-4 win. NRG would pick Pearl as their third map. This was their final stand against G2 in the finals. G2 started on defense and was able to get 7 in the first half. NRG was still in this. All they had to do was claim the pistol and they had a strong chance at tying up the game 7-7. G2 wasn't letting that happen, shutting down NRG's pistol and taking the buy round as well, putting the score at 9-5. On NRG's first buy round, they would result in their first round win of the half, and they were able to then follow that up with another, bringing it back to a 2-round game. Sadly, they were unable to keep up the momentum, and G2 claimed the next 4 rounds, closing out the game and the series 13-7. G2 would be the winners of the Red Bull home ground event, adding another trophy to their case. The Red Bull event was a fun one. We got to see new rosters in action and some close bangers, even though they were mainly just best of ones. I'm stoked to see what these new rosters have in store for us in the upcoming 2026 season once they've had more time to practice and get to know each other and get ready. That is going to do it here for us at GGN. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to be a part of the Global Gaming Network community, consider joining the Discord. Links will be down in the description below. See y'all next time.